The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog and join the Progressive Army.
Welcome to the Benjamin Dixon Show. I am your host, Benjamin Dixon. Today is Thursday, November 21st, 2019. Thanks so much for joining us. We missed you yesterday, but the last 2 days, Tuesday night and Wednesday all day, have been inundated with debate events here in Atlanta. Tuesday night, I had a chance to go and kick it with Bernie Sanders' team here in Atlanta. Killer Mike was there. Who else was there? Of course, Nina Turner was there. Brianna Joy, she was there. The whole team, Phil Agnew, Jamal Green, the entire crew was there, along with a lot of other dope people who organize and work really hard for progressive causes. Marcus Farrell, Marcus for America on Twitter. And then Mundell Robinson, who actually organized the event that I was at yesterday that kind of kept me away from doing the podcast. Mundell organized Black Male Voter Forum, and we had a chance to sit down with a large group of black men to discuss the black vote, but particularly black men voting. Black women have been the backbone of the Democratic Party for some time, and the most potential room for growth for every single candidate is with black men. And so we discussed strategies to not only galvanize that vote, but also why campaigns need to invest money into galvanizing that vote, to actually do something. So we hung out. I'm going to share all the pictures that I took with patrons. And patrons we have a Discord now, and we've been hanging out over there. We're going to open up the Discord for everyone soon, but right now it's open to patrons. And if you want photos behind the scenes of all the stuff that went on with Bernie Sanders' team and everything, it was a party. That's what I really enjoyed Tuesday night, because it's a party. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, this is no shade to anyone, because after I was on the panel myself, we had a panel after we had the Black Male Forum yesterday from 4 to 6. Then we had a pre-debate kind of get together and a panel, and I ended up on that panel. But if you ask me, I would much rather just have a political party, a happy hour, and just be able to kick it with people, because I don't know, I've been to so many panels in my lifetime. But anyway, after that panel, we watched the debate. So many dope people were there. I mean, just so many names that I can't drop them off. If I start dropping names, I will be here all day. But that's where we were yesterday. We watched the debates. I live tweeted them. I don't really know if I have a lot to say about the debates, except for a couple of pretty standard observations. Julian Castro should be on stage, not Tulsi Gabbard, and certainly, like, I'm going to be fair to Tulsi Gabbard. She has a strategy that got her enough votes to get on that stage, got her enough support rather to get on that stage. Who the hell is supporting Amy Klobuchar? And why is Amy Klobuchar on that stage and not Julian Castro? Okay. That's the other thing. The second observation was, if you watched it, and I'm not going to play any clips. I have a collection of clips here, but I don't honestly feel like it's a value add, because I can tell you, Joe Biden is so past his prime. It's embarrassing. It's sad. He can't convey a coherent thought. I mean, he doesn't understand how to answer the questions. And I'm not trying to play into the idea of ageism, but there is listen, he is about the same age as Bernie Sanders. They're in the same age group. And Bernie Sanders still speaks with a level of certainty and clarity. And he's able to navigate loaded questions and cut to the core of the matter. He's not the only one that was able to do that. Elizabeth Warren did a little bit of that last night. So it's not, and all of them are in the same age group. So this is not ageism. Joe Biden will cost us the election because he does not have the capacity to compete on a national stage. If he ever had it, he certainly does not have it now. That's the most painfully evident thing that came out of the debates last night. And hell, that's the same thing that has come out of the debates multiple times. This is debate number 5. Another thing that happened last night was a glorious exchange between three people. Kamala Harris called out Tulsi Gabbard on Tulsi Gabbard's right-wing affiliation. And these are facts. Like, Tulsi Gabbard is running against the Democratic Party. And while to some of you that might sound good, the reality is she's running against Bernie Sanders. She's not just running against Hillary Clinton because Hillary Clinton's not on the ballot. She's running against Bernie Sanders. And she was celebrated last night, not by any of us, but by Donald Trump's team. They sent out a tweet quoting Tulsi Gabbard, talking about the Democratic Party being corrupt and broken and whatever else language she used. That was captured. The video was downloaded and re-uploaded by Donald Trump's team, and they sent that out, and she got thousands of likes and retweets. So who is Tulsi Gabbard really working for here? All right, so that was Tulsi Gabbard. But Tulsi Gabbard turned around and got in Pete Buttigieg's how the hell do you say that? Buttigieg's face. I mean, okay, forget about it. I'm not going to figure it out. She took him to task over his careless language with regard to sending troops to Mexico. But then Pete Buttigieg took her to task over Bashar al-Assad. And you know what we do in these situations when two monsters fight? We sit back and we let them fight. Beautiful exchanges between both of them. Neither one of them need to be on that stage. But let's talk about Pete a little bit more. Here's the thing. For just 5 minutes in the debate last night, they began to ask the question about his qualifications. Finally, someone is having a conversation about Pete Buttigieg's qualifications to even be on that stage. He's a mayor of a very small city and has received 9,000 votes total in his career. I mean, but what's fascinating about this is that the same people who are backing Pete Buttigieg and they're like, oh, he's so smart, and he's so accomplished. These are the same people who would tell you that Bernie Sanders hasn't accomplished, I'm using air quotes, accomplished enough while he was in office. I mean, I don't know if there's any utility in pointing out hypocrisy to people who have every intention of being hypocritical, but I just got to call the BS out when I see it. That's BS. Pete Buttigieg is the least qualified person to be on that stage. I don't care how many languages he speaks. I don't care how great of an education he has. Amy Klobuchar is far more accomplished than him. Now, couple that, forget about accomplishments. Couple Pete Buttigieg's lack of accomplishments with the fact that he has taken a hard line stance of protecting this establishment exactly the way it is. Pete Buttigieg, we got to get him out the paint. Because he's taken a vanity project for his own personal self-aggrandizement, and he's turned it into a crusade to make sure that we don't get Medicare for all. He's turned it into a crusade to say, hey, everybody, just chill out. We like the way it is. We just want to get rid of Trump. He's just a younger version of Joe Biden in that regard. So it's really time to move forward. Bernie Sanders had a really good night. He spoke with so much clarity and conviction. And I know I said that already, but I just have to point out that it really matters when you have a candidate who can clearly enunciate with passion and conviction why we need the things that they're saying we need. Elizabeth Warren isn't speaking with that much clarity. She's not speaking with that much conviction. And in some cases, she's apologetic for her plans, like her wealth tax. That's not going to cut it in this season. She's got to speak with the level of fierceness that I've seen her speak with. Quite frankly, I know she can. And I'm really wondering, I guess I could ask around, I'm really wondering why it is that she's being so tepid. I think I was listening to Sam Cedar for the first time. No, I listen to Sam every now and then, but I actually took time to listen to his show one day, almost in full. And he was saying that she miscalculated. He said, Sam was saying that Elizabeth Warren miscalculated because she ran to the left, which she really does have some leftist bona fides, not matching Bernie Sanders, but she does. She ran to the left, and now she's trying to tack back to the center because there was not enough room for her on the left. And that was a political miscalculation. So I'm wondering if that's why she's being kind of timid with some of her answers and almost apologetic. But the point is we don't have time for any type of for timidity. We need fierce fighters. And I know that she can do it, but right now the only person who's clearly doing it is Bernie Sanders. And this will be the last thing I'll say about it, because I'm gonna shift gears in this next segment. There's a report from the New York Times showing that Obama's getting ready to get back involved, and I want to dig into that. Here's the last thing I'll say about this. It is fascinating to me and almost kind of shocking to me that the establishment, and when I say establishment, I'm not talking about Democratic establishment. I'm talking about capitalism and the most wealthy and the richest people in this world. It is shocking to me that they look at someone like Elizabeth Warren, who, for all intents and purposes, is going to do the very best job she can to preserve this system. One sidestep, Bernie Sanders will too, but I'll unpack that a little more in the next segment. But what's shocking, I can see why they would be scared of Bernie Sanders, because he's very clear that he's going to take the healthcare industry and turn it upside down, inside out, and get rid of for-profit healthcare. I mean, that's a major threat to a lot of people. So it makes sense that they are absolutely terrified of Bernie Sanders. But it doesn't make sense to me for them to be terrified of Elizabeth Warren, because to me, she was their best bet to have someone who could be establishment and protect the establishment. And this is what I mean. Like, she was the only candidate who is uniquely positioned to give just enough to the left to make sure that the pitchforks don't come out. Like, just enough material benefit to kind of like, okay, we don't like her, but we're not going to go to war. We're not going to tear this thing down. Because to me, she's not a real threat to the establishment, but at the same time, she is not. At the same time, she's going to introduce the wealth tax. Same time, we're going to cancel some debt. At the same time, we'll get a public option. There's plenty of things to criticize her for. But the thing that blows me away is that as tepid and honestly, I don't mean this as an insult to anybody who listens to me who supports Elizabeth Warren, but her plans are milquetoast. When you compare them to the desire of the American left to really change things, Elizabeth Warren's plans are pretty milquetoast. So it makes no sense to me that the establishment would be fighting her so hard. You know why they are fighting her so hard? Because of the wealth tax. That's the one thing that she's pretty clear about. That's the thing that she's clearest about. She's not clear about Medicare for all. Matter of fact, she's backtracking. But she's the reason the establishment, the Democratic establishment at this point, can't allow Elizabeth Warren to win is because she will introduce the wealth tax, and the wealthy donor class of the Democratic Party simply will not have it. And so now, here comes Barack Obama, because of course they don't want Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is a non-starter to them. But Elizabeth Warren is also a non-starter because she's going to implement that wealth tax. And so now here comes Barack Obama and all the support for Mayor Pete and Joe Biden. And we'll talk about that in a moment.
Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show and support The Benjamin Dixon Show.
All right. Welcome aboard to Adam Lumley. I apologize, my friend. I know I messed it up. 50-50 chance I got one of them right? But welcome aboard. Thanks for becoming a patron. Make sure that you come to our Discord. You too can join this fabulous group of magnificent people by going to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show. We're moving a little slow this week, but that's okay, because you know what? I rock with the people who rock with me. So thank you for becoming a patron. I didn't realize this music was this long. Oh, you know what it is? What it is I normally have more patrons to thank. But that's all right. That party was for you, Adam. And that party was for everyone who's already a supporter. Patreon.com. We have a Discord now where I'm in there every morning, noon, night. I just kind of jump in there and say hey to people and talk to people. Eventually, we're going to expand the Discord to have like topical sections where we could talk about foreign policy, where we could talk about the primaries. We can just hash it out. Like I would love to talk to the people who listen to my show who support Elizabeth Warren, and then those who support Bernie Sanders. Like, let's chop it up, like a space where we all know we're there for genuine conversations, because my show is 100% about genuine conversations. It will be open to everyone eventually, but right now it's open only to patrons. Patreon.com/the BPD show, and join and make sure you come to the Discord. Okay. I have decided to start following the impeachment proceedings, and I will tell you, I picked the right day to start following it. Because yesterday, Ambassador Sondland's testimony, and today, Dr. Hill, as well as the other testimonial, they are providing some damning evidence in this impeachment proceeding. They are really making the case that Donald Trump certainly committed an act of bribery or quid pro quo, or whatever the legal actual definition will be. They're making the case, and they're making it plain. And these are people, particularly Ambassador Sondland. He was appointed by Donald Trump, right? Sondland, I think, donated $1 million to Donald Trump's inauguration committee, and that level of gift gets you an ambassadorship. So he basically bought himself an ambassadorship, but he signed up and he was like, no, wait a minute. I signed up just to buy an ambassadorship. I did not sign up to go to jail on behalf of Donald Trump. And so he just started reading receipts all day yesterday, and he made it clear that there was quid pro quo. Now, what the Republicans took their time to do all day yesterday was to try to undermine and to try to rattle him and try to confuse him, and to try to make him contradict his testimony. But something else happened. This is really the only reason I'm bringing it up, because Donald Trump did something yesterday in the middle of the proceedings that Republicans picked up on, and we're not talking about it enough, because so much stuff happens that this type of thing, this type of Machiavellian machinations, really would be enough to be a major headline in and of itself, but we're living in a different era. Here's what happened. Yesterday during a break, Donald Trump went out to a press gaggle right before he got on Marine One. And he said to America, he said, in my conversation with Ambassador Sondland, I told him I want nothing from Ukraine. Ambassador Sondland called him and said, what do you want from Ukraine? And Donald Trump said, I told him, I want nothing from Ukraine. I want nothing from them. No quid pro quo. I want them to do the right thing. Okay. President Trump transmitted that message during the break of the impeachment proceedings yesterday. When we came back from the break, the very first thing the Republicans started to do over and over and over again, every single Republican after the break used those exact words to undermine the testimony from Ambassador Sondland. So now, before the break, they were completely lost. After the break, Donald Trump transmitted through the news media what their strategy should be, which is bring up the call that I had with Ambassador Sondland, that I told him that I want nothing, there, no quid pro quo. And that became the resounding chorus, the refrain that the Republicans used in the impeachment proceedings yesterday. It took Democrats a full hour to catch up with the game. They did finally catch up, but I peeped game immediately, and someone should have reacted immediately to what Republicans were doing. Because here's what happened. First of all, by now you should be asking yourself a simple question. Why on earth would Donald Trump respond to a simple question from Ambassador Sondland with the very specific language of I want nothing, no quid pro quo? If somebody asks you what you want from, I don't know, what you want for dinner or what do you want from your friend, you do not go to the very thing that is criminal. You don't naturally respond to that unless you're in a situation that you know that you are in trouble. In other words, hit dogs holler. The Bible says it like this: guilty man fleeth when no man pursueth, right? And this is what happened. So what was missing from this conversation? Well, what was missing was the fact that this call that Donald Trump had with Ambassador Sondland, where he said, I want nothing, no quid pro quo, took place after Congress had already announced that they would be investigating him over quid pro quo. How is this relevant? How does this matter? Because we just saw yesterday in real time the president of the United States obstruct justice, even if not in the legal definition of it. He literally handed them talking points that obfuscated the truth, and Republicans happily they happily engaged in that distortion of the truth in front of the entire nation as if it was nothing. Should I be surprised? I'm not surprised. But we can't keep letting lies and we can't keep letting half-truths and intentional propaganda go unchallenged. We cannot. Like, these are elected representatives doing the job of our institutions, protecting the Constitution against enemies, domestic and foreign. And they're saying that they are literally demonstrating in real time that they would rather take a lie from the president that is not even a half-truth. It is a complete obfuscation of the truth. And they will repeat it over and over again for political wins. This may not mean a damn thing to Republicans, but it has to mean something to people who seek the truth. And the problem is when the opposition party, Democrats in this case, are not equipped to quickly respond to these types of games and tricks and propaganda, you give Republicans an entire news cycle. For example, last night on CNN, they reported Ambassador Sondland, Trump committed quid pro quo. Fox News, on the other hand, took Donald Trump's story that he transmitted to Republicans, and Republicans then regurgitated it back into the hearing. And then Ambassador Sondland had to answer the question truthfully. Is this what President Trump said to you? I want nothing, no quid pro quo. And Ambassador Sondland said yes. What do they leave out? The fact that this took place after the original call. This took place after Congress had already commenced with an impeachment inquiry. But that did not stop Tucker Carlson and Fox News last night, which said Ambassador Sondland, no quid pro quo. And because this is as much a political proceeding as it is a legal proceeding, or even more so a political proceeding, public opinion matters around this. And Donald Trump knew this, and Republicans. I mean, here's the last thing I'll say about this before I move on. This absolutely really signifies to me that there really is no hope for this country or this planet if we cannot continuously get rid of. They will always pop their ugly head. Liars and propagandists and people who care about the do-nothings of society, the people who all they want is power. Unless we can regularly get rid of them, get them out of office, and do everything that we can to always win and keep them from being in office, there is so little hope for us. If you watched those proceedings yesterday, you would see that there is no hope unless we can honestly get rid of these people, get them out of office, replace them. Is there any, it may be the case that they're so far gone that we have to replace them with Democrats and then have a left-leaning party. Right? The Democrats, the most honest Republicans in this country, are establishment Democrats. And I think that's where we are. All right. Let's get back to Obama President Obama getting ready to wade in to the primaries. The New York Times reported this. After 3 years of largely steering clear of divisive internal Democratic fights, Mr. Obama is increasingly moving off the political sidelines and trying to play a new role, elder statesman for a party grappling with its post-Obama identity. Associates describe a former president impelled by his belief that the diverse electorate he once unified is being split by Medicare for all and immigration proposals, ideas he thinks could alienate moderate voters in the 2020 election. I want to read one more piece of this. From appearances before party donors to conversations with activists and lawmakers, Mr. Obama is going public with a message for his fellow Democrats he previously made in private to allies and a handful of party journalists, of friendly journalists rather. Focus on defeating President Trump, ditch the ideological purity, the cancel culture, or face the abyss. Okay. Let me just be clear about something. I like President Obama well enough. Very specifically, I like him well enough to leave him alone. So long as he leaves us alone. And this is what I mean. I think he does. I think he's overestimating his coalition or his ability to unify what was once his coalition, because it's not really his coalition anymore. This is what I mean. Right now, somebody has to come in and unite the Obama coalition, which was inclusive of some moderate right-wing white women, right-leaning white women, and it included obviously black people, young black people and older black people. Right now, that coalition is split up, and it really is split up 4 different ways. I would say 5 ways: Biden, Buttigieg, Warren, Sanders, and then everyone else. Everyone else has like sprinkles. But there's a large concentration of Biden supporters who are part of the, I don't even have to break it down anymore. Like, that is the Obama coalition. So the question is who's going to come in and combine them and unify them? Well, the answer is nobody. Not even Barack Obama. Here's why. The divide is not generational so much, even though there's some overlap. There's some correlation between boomers and everyone else, and I know everyone's getting tired of that conversation. There is some overlap there, but that's not the true divide. The true divide is between those who felt like everything else was fine before Trump and those of us who understood that there were plenty of problems that Obama simply did not address, that we pushed under the carpet, that we still have not addressed, but we have the opportunity to fix it now. That's the divide. That is the split in the Obama coalition. Now, you have Generation Zers, rather, who weren't even old enough to vote for Obama, and they don't give a damn about Obama because they're growing up in a system that they can clearly see the reality a lot sooner than even Generation Xers did and millennials. So here's the real divide. The real divide is along ideological lines. And Obama does not have the ability to unify that because he's coming out here and the very first thing he's attacking is one of the cornerstones of this generation's progressive policy, Medicare for all. And if you know my show, you know that's my single issue. And this is kind of the whole point. The point is whereas there are a lot of us, millennials, elder millennials, Generation Xers, and Zoomers who are pretty, we could have just left Obama alone. We got critiques of him, but what's the point? He's not in power anymore. And our parents love him so much. And quite frankly, I actually like him. We could just as easily let him just go and be great, man. Go and enjoy your yacht life. Go and enjoy that $60 million book deal and go and enjoy your Netflix deal. And but if you turn around and actively oppose what we're fighting for, my dude, I don't think you understand that the people who have the most compelling and robust critique of Barack Obama are the people who aren't ever going to respond to him trying to unify us. And that's being kind. Let me say it even more directly. If you really want to mess up your legacy, Barack Obama, play with us. Try it. Try and oppose the progress that we are trying to implement separate from the influence of our parents, of boomers, the influence of any political strategist, the influence of the Democratic establishment. We have had to, and quite right, found our own political identity separate from you all because you left us. You went and became the establishment that was just as comfortable giving a bailout to the richest banks and richest people in this country instead of doing the exact same thing to people who lost their homes. See, if we take the time to show them the fact that the reason some of our parents lost their homes was because you bailed out the banks and you didn't bail out homeowners. See, underneath there's a fury. There is a fury towards Democrats and Barack Obama that is tempered by the fact that, one, he's gone. Fine. Two, he's the first black president. And honestly, I'm still going to make sure that some of y'all who aren't black watch your mouth. But if you start coming after our goals and our aspirations and our dreams for the future, we will eviscerate your legacy to the point that they will take your picture down from the murals in the hood that, quite frankly, should never have been there in the first place. But we let you live. We celebrate you. We still applaud you. We'll still clap. Barack Obama, the first black president of the United States. We even got Cornel West up out of the paint a little bit because he called it a long time ago when he said Barack Obama is just a blackface on white supremacy. When you're talking about global white supremacy, Barack Obama was just a blackface on white American empire. We pushed, when I say we, I'm just speaking collectively because I never did, but we kind of pushed collectively Cornel West out of the paint because of that. But we can just as easily remind everyone that he was right. And why would we do that? Good question. I'm glad you asked. The reason why we would do that, or actually the way we would get it done, is you have to understand the establishment is just as afraid of Elizabeth Warren as they are Bernie Sanders. I know people don't agree with me when I say that, but if they were not afraid of Elizabeth Warren, they would not be doing all the things that they're doing with Michael Bloomberg, with Deval Patrick. Now they're going to bring back in Barack Obama. Pete Buttigieg has all these points. Joe Biden is hanging on. They don't want Elizabeth Warren, like I said in the previous segment, because she's going to implement that 2% wealth tax. Elizabeth Warren has the support of some of the most organized and some of the most ruthless and cutthroat, for the right reason, black women that you do not want to get into a fight with. And so when Barack Obama comes out here attacking Medicare for all, which however we disagree with Elizabeth Warren, she has a plan out there for Medicare for all. So Obama attacking Obama attacking Medicare for all is going to tangentially be attacking Elizabeth Warren. And let me tell you something. They probably have a lot more intensity than I do, and they will take Barack Obama to task through social media with our organized communities. You just don't understand the pushback that Barack Obama is getting ready to get. We don't even need white supporters to handle this. We don't even need Bernie bros to sit together. No, you guys can sit this one out, because there are going to be enough young black millennial Gen Xers and Zoomers who are going to rip Barack Obama a new asshole so big that he's going to be shitting out electoral colleges after we get done with him. Because I don't think people really understand. Like, there's an entire movement of black people who don't F with Barack Obama. At all. And you guys know me. You know me well enough to know that I keep a general position of respect for our first black president for many reasons that go beyond him just being the first black president. But if you encourage us, if you get out here and oppose Medicare for all and give us a reason to really tell the truth about you, you'll find that your legacy won't be as pristine as it could have been if you had just left us alone. I think it's very, very, very clear. A person who is coming out here to fight against one of the most important programs that we could possibly get in the history of this country, Medicare for all. And to do so at the expense of organizers and people who are currently fighting for it. Even more specifically, all of the black people who are like fighting, the young black millennials who are and Generation Xers and Zers rather, who are fighting for Bernie Sanders. I mean, I mentioned the black women who support Elizabeth Warren. Do you know what this next generation of young black Gen Zers are going to do with the legacy of Barack Obama if he gets out here and tries to stop Medicare for all? Well, it's going to be the same thing that I'm going to do, because that's my single issue. That it's going to be the same thing that I do, which is going to be to tell everyone the truth. Nothing more, nothing less, no exaggeration, very clear, very compelling case of why we should never support Barack Obama ever again. Period. And you know what? Our parents listen to us. So it won't just be the young generation who's done with you. It'll be this coalition that's standing behind. You know what? Come on, Barack. I just thought about this. Come on out here. Come on. Because you know why? That's how we're going to get that 44% of black voters who support Joe Biden. That's how we're going to get them off of Joe Biden, because we are going to convince them that Barack Obama was a mistake in the first place. And I'm saying that as a guy who actually likes Barack Obama. Now, what do you think people who actually have no regard whatsoever for his legacy are going to say about him once he gets back into this new cycle, intentionally to oppose us? All right, I'm going to leave it alone because, man, look here. Medicare for all or nothing at all.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show and support The Benjamin Dixon Show. If you like this episode, be sure to share, like, and subscribe.